What happens when you put a $20 tuner up against a precision strobe tuner that's accurate to within a tenth of a cent? Today I'll be running a head-to-head tuner showdown. Korg, Snark, phone app tuner, built-in amp tuner, all of them go up against my Peterson STROBE Stomp HD. I only used basic tuners for years and I thought they were doing the job until I started to notice some subtle tuning issues that just would not go away. Is your tuner's accuracy limiting your ability to sound your best, and if so, why? Today I'm going to help you see for yourself and decide. Let's get into it. Now, I've used everything from a tuning fork back in the day to cheap clip-ons to my $150 digital strobe tuner. And today I'm putting them all head to head so you can see the difference for yourself. Now, I won't be going all the way back to a tuning fork today, so at least all the tuners I'll be testing are electronic and have some kind of visual display. The only one that can dial in a tenth of a cent or a hundredth of a semitone is the Peterson STROBE Stomp. Let's see just how far off or close the others actually are to being in tune. One thing to note is that most of these other tuners have absolutely zero capability when it comes to sweetened tunings. So we have the potential for a double-edged sword. You can only tune to equal temperament, and then the notes themselves could potentially be tuned inaccurately, which of course opens the door to some unintentional sweetening that ain't so sweet. There are plenty of musicians who think that a guitar tuned to equal temperament doesn't sound great even if it is tuned perfectly. My favorite guitar player, Eddie Van Halen, very rarely tuned with equal temperament. Speaking of Eddie, I've got a free tab collection of classic Van Halen riffs and licks that are tons of fun to play and sound great on a properly tuned guitar. If you're interested, comment Eddie down below and I'll get that right out to you. Just comment Eddie. For this tuning challenge, I'll be using an old school Korg GA1, a less old school Snark headstock tuner, the auto tuner inside the Fender Tune app that you can download on your phone, and that's actually free, and then the built-in tuner on my Fender Mustang GTX 100 amp. These will all be matched up against my Peterson STROBE Stomp HD. And then today I'll be using my beautiful Gibson Les Paul Standard so I don't have to deal with the Floyd Rose locking nut since I'll be retuning several times. And today I'll just be using the equal temperament setting on the Peterson, so we're comparing apples to apples. Real quick before I start testing, what tuner are you using right now? And have you ever tested how accurate it really is? Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious what people are relying on. Okay, as you might have been able to tell from the video, that I time-lapsed that because that would have been painful to watch. But it was particularly hard to dial in the Korg right with the needle straight up and down and on the green. So a little bit touchy with the Korg tuner. Let's hear how those chords sound real quick. Alright, now let's have a look at the Peterson strobe tuner and we'll see how flat or sharp each of these notes might be. We're flat on the E. It wasn't terrible, but it was a little bit, and it doesn't take much for it to make a messy soup out of the whole thing. The A was a little flat. I would have guessed the A would have been a little sharp based on what I was seeing on the needle. Real quick, in case you haven't seen my other Peterson tuning videos on the strobe tuner, if the dial is rotating counterclockwise, you're a little bit flat. If it's rotating clockwise, you're sharp. You may notice I'm constantly tuning below the pitch and back up to it. Best practice for keeping your guitar to lock into the pitch is to do it that way. If you tune down to it, you have the potential for some friction and slippage to happen. So always best to try to tune up into a note rather than down to it. Just a little FYI there. All right, we're pretty locked in now according to the strobe. Let's try them chords real quick. A little better. So I would say the Korg kind of struggled a little bit. I would not want that to be my go-to tuner. Now granted, I've had that one probably for a couple of decades, but still, you've seen it was a little dicey just trying to lock in the pitches as I was tuning. All right, I untuned the guitar. Next up is the Snark headstock tuner. You might not be able to see it because I got another camera close up on it. All right, supposedly we're in tune with the Snark. Let's see what we got on the Peterson. I gotta say, I am surprisingly and pleasantly surprised with the Snark. I only had to tweak things just a little bit. Let's see those chords one more time. I probably don't need to play them every time I recalibrate with the Peterson. Next up, we're going to test the phone app, Fender Tune. So let me just get that going here. And I'll untune my guitar again real quick too. Okay, I'm a little skeptical about that one. Those were really hard to dial in, and it was very sensitive. I could tell it was picking up like sympathetic harmonics from other strings or something, because we'll see how this sounds. It didn't seem awful. Let's see what the strobe tuner says. That free app struggled a bit. I'd say that one was no better than the Korg, but it is free. All right, I'll detune for our final contestant here, the built-in tuner on my Mustang GTX 100, and then we'll see how that compares to the Peterson Strobo Stomp. This one surprisingly has some markings, so you can tune minus 50 cents to plus 50 cents. It looks like it's like 10 lines, so maybe 5 cents per line, or maybe the in-betweens. I don't know. I've never used this before, so we'll see how accurate we can get it. Okay, it shows the cents number. It's very touchy, almost like the Korg. I'm going to have to say that if it hits the 0, I'm going to have to call it good. All right, we'll see how that compares to the Peterson. I frankly had higher hopes for that. That was not very easy to dial in. It seemed like the meter was kind of moving all over the place. All right, let's run through them chords real quick before I go tweaking the tuning. Not awful, but I suspect there's going to be some fine tuning here on the STROBE. Yeah, a little bit. Not as bad as I expected. If you do want to upgrade your tuner to something truly accurate, I've got an affiliate link down below for the Peterson STROBE stomp. It is what I use. Personally, I think it's made a big difference. So the first thing you do, or at least should do, before you begin practicing or playing, is tune your guitar. And frankly, you're either in tune or you're not. It's that simple. I would argue that it's the most important thing to get correct first. After all, how your guitar is tuned is the very thing that determines where your fingers need to go in the first place. And an out-of-tune guitar will never sound amazing no matter how great your technique is, or how much music theory you know. It may even be a distraction for your creativity. Alrighty, so there you have it. You now have seen the shortcomings of some of these tuners, the accuracy of the Peterson, the surprising accuracy of the Snark headstock tuner, and while the built-in tuner on the Mustang GTX had the nice feature of letting you adjust for cents, it wasn't particularly easy to dial in. I actually found it almost as difficult to dial in on the note with the Fender tuner as it was on the Fender app on the phone and the Korg that I tested first. But it is a neat feature that the tuner is built in on the amp and that you do have those cents adjustments. In that regard, it's a little more flexible than either the Korg or the app or the Snark, even if it is a little finicky to deal with. And of course, in the description I have affiliate links for the Peterson STROBE stomp as well as the Fender Mustang GTX. As always, no extra cost to you for using those links, but I do receive a small commission for the recommendation, and that does really help my channel. If you're using a tuner that's on the lower end of the spectrum for accuracy, you may want to consider upgrading. That alone will make your playing sound better, and isn't that what it's all about after all? Creating the best sound? If this video gave you something to think about or showed you that not all tuners are created equal, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you want to go deeper into how tuning actually works with your Van Halen tones, check out my breakdown on sweetened tunings. You can find that linked right here. See you over there.